From the Detroit Free Press, it's Friday, March 5th. Here's today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bushes.com/join our team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join our team.
This is Brian McCollum, music writer with the Detroit Free Press. In the summer of 1965, Detroit and Motown had starring roles in the biggest televised music special of the year. It's What's Happening, Baby, broadcast by CBS and hosted by New York DJ Murray the K, aired that lone night in June 56 years ago. It hasn't run in full since, until now. The star-studded special has been restored and remastered from the original videotape and will air Saturday night on public television stations across the U.S., including Detroit. Motown artists feature heavily in the show, including 5 segments taped in Detroit in an early sort of music video style, 16 years before MTV. They include Martha and the Vandellas at Ford's Rouge plant and Marvin Gaye at Greenfield Village. Other performances were taped live in New York, including appearances by Ray Charles, the Righteous Brothers, Patti LaBelle, and Dionne Warwick. Saturday's presentation features the original Murray the K show, plus new conversations with some of the folks involved, including one of the final interviews by Mary Wilson. The former Supreme, wearing a shirt with the phrase Native Detroiter, spoke with host TJ Lubinsky 2 weeks before her February 8th death. It's What's Happening, Baby will air at 7 p.m. Saturday on Detroit Public Television.
I'm Teresa Baldus with the Detroit Free Press. Jacqueline Jones was just 1 month out of the police academy when she came under fire on the side of a highway. It was Christmas Eve, and a stranger in a pickup had just rammed her car over an embankment and onto I-75, where the truck pinned her car against a concrete wall. A gunfight broke out. She fired 17 shots, the stranger fired 7. However, it wasn't until 2 hours later at the hospital that Jones would learn that her attacker was the father of her child, a man she had left 10 months earlier after years of abuse. Police found a tracker on her car that night, and her assailant had also brought along handcuffs, a window breaker, and a rope. His name was Joshua Krajewski, a 34-year-old Detroit firefighter, Army veteran, and founder of the Michigan Warriors hockey program for disabled vets. He died that night from a gunshot wound to the head. The highway shooting made a few headlines, but they only offered a sliver of a story that involves trauma, domestic abuse, an established hockey program for veterans, PTSD, and an emotionally damaged soldier who left 2 children fatherless and a woman permanently scarred. Now, in an exclusive interview with the Free Press, Jones opens up for the first time about the shooting, the years of abuse she hid with makeup and lies, and what finally pushed her to leave. For more on the story, please visit free.com.
This is J.C. Rondo for the Detroit Free Press. Business groups are urging Governor Whitmer to not extend a restriction on in-person office work that is set to expire April 15th. The coalition calls itself Reopen Michigan Safely and includes chambers of commerce from across the state. Members say that with more people getting vaccinated and COVID hospitalizations way down, it's almost time to let businesses welcome their office workers back. The restriction has been in place since October. It says employers shall limit in-person work if the work can be feasibly done remotely. The groups fear that Whitmer's administration may try to extend the rule for another 6 months, which they say would be devastating to the state's economy.
I'm Sloan Terranella with the Detroit Free Press. Metro Detroiters, it's time to rejoice. The National Weather Service in White Lake is predicting warmer days ahead, with highs peaking into the 60s by next week. The forecast predicts dry conditions for the rest of this week. However, before we experience warm temperatures, there's a catch. According to the forecast, a cold front from Lake Huron will move into the Thumb region, then travel south, creating colder air and chilly conditions for this weekend. After the cold front passes, there will be a warming trend across southeast Michigan for this upcoming week. On Monday, the high will be in the mid-50s, with lows being in the upper 30s. On Tuesday, residents should expect partly sunny conditions, with the high almost reaching 60 degrees, but not quite. Tuesday's high could reach up to 57 degrees, with the low being in the 40s. Finally, on Wednesday, Metro Detroiters might experience 60-degree weather. Although there's a chance of rain, the National Weather Service is predicting Wednesday's high to be in the 60s, with the low dipping into the 30s.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department, checking in again on the Tigers in spring training. The biggest injury down in Lakeland so far, knock on wood, has been Spencer Torkelson's cut finger. The number 1 overall pick in last year's draft missed a few days last week, but has since played a little in the exhibitions this week, even dusting off the old first baseman's mitt. He seems to be fully healed after getting a stitch or two to close the wound on his right index finger. So, Spencer, how'd that injury happen?
I mean, the boys were hungry, and I was in charge of dinner that night, and I was making this little corn salsa, and it was a can of beans to put in it, and the Airbnb didn't have a can opener, and we tried to improvise, and we learned our lesson that it's better to go to Walmart 5 minutes away and get a can opener.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.